Bas Vennekens.
Correct.
From Holland.
Correct.
Representing a solution which is about to be developed, called ParckR.
ParckR, yes.
ParckR. So this is in this collection of presentations from vocabulary to use to describe it, to over a real on-field experiment or pilot project. This is part of the puzzle which will bring some services using the data around. So it's for you to show us how you do that.
Thank you. As was mentioned, I work for ParckR since March this year, so it's a bit short, but my first assignment was to develop a database that was based upon DATEX. Okay. What I would like to tell you first a little bit of the background of ParckR, the concept of ParckR, why we decided to use DATEX II, and a little bit of the experience we had creating that data model, and some challenges we still face. Truck parking capacity is a major issue on all the European road corridors. The demand for truck parking spaces exceeds the available capacity, as already was mentioned by the other speakers. In particular at night, all the drivers will search for a parking place where they can park their vehicle. And this will lead to a lot of problems. This will also lead to a dilemma for the trucker, because he has two options. Either he's going to drive until he finds a suitable parking place, and then he will violate the driving time regulations and he will risk a high fine. Other one is if he simply parks somewhere, he will park illegally, and again, he will risk a fine. This is a bit of a dilemma for a trucker. So very often they will decide to simply park somewhere, and they will park on slipways, hard shoulder, and in residential areas. And due to this illegal parking, the security of the driver, the truck, and the cargo will be compromised. And by parking in residential areas without any facilities for a driver, that will cause a lot of nuisance in the area, because the areas are not fit to handle all those drivers. And also what will happen is that the driver will not get sufficient rest because he gets disturbed, because it's not a proper facility. And all this will lead to compromised road safety. How we think we're gonna help solve this problem is our ParckR concept is based on floating vehicle data that we will use as base data. The computer model will estimate and predict the occupancy rates. These will be collected by a smartphone app, and the smartphone app will present the user, in this case the truck driver, with the occupancy of the parking places ahead. And also the app will be used to collect new floating vehicle data and get feedback from the community. Okay, because the ParckR app will be a central part of this of the system, we will be developing it in 10 languages, so every truck driver, not every, but the majority of truck drivers will be addressed in their native tongue. We will develop it for Android and iOS, so that also the majority of the smartphones will be addressed, will be covered. The app will show per truck parking area the estimated time of arrival and the expected occupancy at arrival, plus all the available facilities at that truck parking. And the other one is we will allow truck drivers to share information with their peers. Okay, as mentioned before, the main data is floating vehicle data. We will receive this from a mapping company and from the ParckR community. Another main part of the main data stream is, of course, the truck parking data. This data we will receive from road authorities via single point of access and via web scraping and digitization. That's a difficult one. And every country is going to provide a single point of access for the truck parking data. And we, from ParckR, decided to use the DATEX II, because we expect that all those single access points will use DATEX II. So if we, as ParckR, develop the database according to DATEX II, it will be easy for us to process the data once the single point of access becomes available. Okay, this is how we started to study studied the DATEX. We simply started by studying the document. DATEX II Data Exchange Specification for Traffic Management and Information, Part 6, Parking Publication. And then we try to understand the concept that I used within DATEX, because the experience, and that was quite simple. You had the facilities, the parking places, the infrastructure elements. So that was the easy part. But then we had to translate this to a relational data model, and we did that, and then we came to something like this. You will see your parking facilities and infrastructure elements. If you look closely, it will be difficult to see, I understand. A lot of items that were addressed by Jörg Freudenstein also come in this data model. You will have your parkings that will have facilities, that will have security, and we have charges, and you have infrastructure elements and things like that. So that's good to see that we do something similar than another company. Okay, what is our experience with actually the creation of that database? The DATEX provides a lot of information. Everything you want to do with truck parking is there. You have your facilities, as mentioned. You can store everything, but that's also a bit of its problem. In fact, it is not complex, DATEX, but because it's so much, as already also mentioned before, it's so much data. It takes you a lot of time. You have to flip through the different pages from one to the other to see what the relation is between the different packages and the elements, and that makes the understanding complex. Although in base it is not complex. And after we implemented the database, we implemented the model into a database, we started importing the data. So we used all the base data that we had and we import. That went without any problems. But we only had base data. That was the location name, the location, the name, and the number of parking spaces. That was all the information we had available. So, and we missed a lot of information about the facilities. So what we did to check also our model, we searched for a few locations. We searched the internet for extra information. And there we found, I think, a small issue in the DATEX, because we were not able to store the opening times that were provided by the operator. So let me explain. This is the opening time, as mentioned. Left is the DATEX package, and right is a possible implementation in a database. And this is what I found for a facility on a truck parking. To the left, you see it is opening time from Monday till Friday. And it will start on Monday 7 a.m. and it will last until Friday 12 p.m. And I did not see any option how I could store this in DATEX. So if somebody has a solution, they can come and explain to me later. But for this, we had to change our data model a bit. And I might, while we are collecting more and more data, that it is possible that we find some more of these things. And what are some challenges we have as ParckR is we currently have data for the Netherlands and Belgium, but we need data for entire Europe, for all the European countries, and we need to find where we can get that information. So if anybody knows, they can let us know. I already know one part of data I can retrieve. So. And we will need static location, and the static data, location, characteristics, services, and security levels and things like that, and reference data, historic and dynamic occupancy measurements. And another thing that we as an app developer would need is a single ITP booking standard. Because currently, every truck stop, will have its own way to reserve a parking space. And you have almost as much reservation options as there are operators. So that's a bit of a problem to handle that in an app. That would be also for the driver, that would be very useful, and for us as a developer then, that we have one single entry where we can handle the bookings. So, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Time for your questions. Okay, I wanted to ask again, what kind of floating car data you are expecting for your service? Where do you want to get the data?
Sorry?
You were describing that you are building your model about occupancy on the floating car data.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get these data?
From mapping companies at the moment. We have a mapping company, who provide maps here, and they provide us the data.
Okay.
And we have then a computer model that will retrieve the information we need.
Okay. So, any questions?
Okay.
Great.
We currently don't receive any DATEX II.
If we currently receive DATEX, no, we currently do not receive data. We received data from Rijkswaterstaat, I think, that contained Belgium and the Netherlands. And that's somebody created that data themselves. Any other questions?
First hand was Tomáš Přežděnk.
I have a simple question. What is your current coverage? Because you mentioned a few times the entire Europe.
Yeah, as much as we can. Yeah, Europe as much as we can have, as much as we can handle.
Yeah, but what is the current coverage? So.
Current coverage, we have Belgium and the Netherlands, but we would like to. We need to expand more. We would at least need Germany, I think, and ParckR. It's the northern part of France, I think there.
Okay, thank you.
But more is welcome.
I actually have a quick question to Jörg. Jörg, looking at these opening times, it seems possible to publish these opening times in DATEX, right?
Yes, I think so. It should be possible. Yeah, maybe it's not visible in this picture you showed on the slide, but I think your opening times are possible to.
Sorry,
I think the opening times.
Yeah, but I checked, and what I thought, and I tried. It was not possible. So, but if somebody can explain,
I will have a look.
Okay,
maybe we can exchange.
Okay, we will. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, one question. ParckR is a private company, yes. And I think there should be somehow a business model behind the application. Yep. Is it right now for free, or does it cost already, or was it?
It will be for free, because there was a pilot project, and one of the points that came out of the pilot project was that although the drivers like the app, they do not want to pay for it. So it's quite as simple as it is. And the business model will be then based upon advertisement. You will have your there are a lot of private truck parking areas, which are not always known to the truck drivers, because they're a little bit away from the main road network. So if they could post an ad to the app, then the driver could see that they are also there, and they will advertise with their security level, which most of the time will be one of the highest, because that's what they can as an extra do. So that would be the business model.
So do you already have some parking areas paying for?
No.